guys, it's Tomatoda. Today's tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make a bunch of Slowpoke tail charms, which were inspired by this meme. I think it's made out of bread in this picture, but we're gonna use clay, and I think it's pretty simple. It does involve cane building and reducing, but I think overall it will be a simple project. Now, starting with the clay colors that I need, this is a dark pink. I know it looks kind of red, but it's actually pink, you know, source, trust me bro. No, I'm just kidding. This is red. When you compare it, it's just like slightly more pink. You know, I just added a little bit of white in here. I have this here, which is going to be for the bone. I mixed 50% white and 50% translucent clay, just hoping it'll give like a better effect. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to do, but I just thought I might as well. And this is the Slowpoke skin color. The pink is just red, white, and a little bit of translucent mixed in. Once again, I don't know if the translucent's gonna do anything, but we'll see what happens. Now with the dark pink, I'm going to make it into a cylinder shape. This is going to be the bulk of my cane. I know some people like to build from inner to out, so like you can start with the bone and then layer strips of this around the outside, but I find that this would probably be easier, I think, or at least less work. I don't know, the thought of having to roll out sheets of clay and then put it around, cut, put it around, cut, put it around, cut, and the possibility of it being uneven. I don't know. I think this is what's going to be better, so this is what I'm going to do. One thing you want to be careful when building your block is that you don't have chunks of air inside. Like, I think it's inevitable to have a little bit of air trapped inside, but you don't want huge chunks because they're gonna end up being like, it's gonna end up looking like holes later on. So here is my cylinder. It is pretty small. If you want to make it bigger, go ahead and make it bigger. Then using a straw, I'm gonna pick out the bone size. Boner. Maybe it should be bigger. I think the bone should be bigger, but I don't have a bigger straw. So what I'm going to do is actually make this wider, if that makes sense. I think that's a good size though. Yeah, okay. So then I'm gonna take my straw and I'm going to twist it down the center. Twist it down straight. You want to look at it from above, from the sides, just to make sure that it goes in straight. You want to just twist it down rather than just pushing it down because the pressure is going to like force it in. Twist, 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 and it should get to the bottom eventually. Okay. Oh, here it is at the bottom. It went through straight enough, I would say. And then I'm going to remove this by squeezing it. It's like Dr. Pimple Popper. Wow. Oh, that was not satisfying. Now I'm going to wipe my fingers with a wet wipe because our next color to use is going to be white. So we want everything to be clean. Now with the white, I'm gonna roll this into the same thickness as this, and how I like to do it is to like compare it, and if it overlaps, if the overlap looks perfect, I just assume it's perfect. To get it in here, I'm going to take my blade and I'm going to cut it straight down the middle and open it a little bit, shove it in. Now the reason why you want this to be obviously the same size as the straw, not only is it going to go in well, but if it's a little bit too big, there's a possibility it could get trapped in this cut line, and so it won't be actually round. It'll have like round and a little bit of white sticking out. Just something I learned from trial and error. Anyways, closing it up, I'm going to push it in lightly just to pack it in. Make sure it fills it up very nice. and then cut off the excess. That looks delicious already. Now it's time for the Slowpoke tail. I pulled this out on my pasta machine on the most thickest setting, but if you want it to be thinner, you can definitely pull it out thinner. If you want it to be thicker, you can do more than, one layer. You can do 2 layers. But I think this should be enough, or I hope that this should be enough. As you guys can tell in this non-scripted video, there's a lot of self-doubt. As confident as I might seem in my other videos, I do go through a lot of moments of doubt when I make canes. Alright. Yeah, it looks good. There is some excess here, so I'm just going to shave that off. Okay, now it's going to be time for reducing. When you reduce, squeeze evenly on all sides and make sure to go in one direction. Don't switch directions in the middle. I'm gonna start from the middle, pressing gently. Also, if you guys want to know a little bit more in detail about the reducing part, I do have another video that is a tutorial. So if you want to see that, I'll put it up in the corner here. It's around the 15-minute mark, so just skip to 15:30 or something. And as it stretches, it's gonna get longer and longer. So from the middle, I'm going to actually start moving towards one end in the same direction. And then to get to the other direction, focus bitch, I'm going to turn it around, and from the middle, I'm going to move towards the end. I'm not going to start from one end to the end, okay? It's going to be from middle to end. Because the center is sticking out, I'm going to just roll it over. The best part of this color scheme is that all the waste that you'll get for this cane, when you mix them together, you're just going to get pink again. So, yay for reusability. And before you guys say that, oh, Slowpoke tails, it's sad, it's cruel. It does say in Pokemon, I found this online, so hold on. It says on Pokemon Sun Pokedex, the entry states that its tail often breaks off without harming the Slowpoke, and that it grows back later. Yay! So we'll just imagine that these tails are ethically sourced and not cut off by Team Rocket or something. Because when I played Pokemon Silver, I was pretty shocked about the whole Slowpoke tail thing, and in that game, it was kind of a crime, I think. But now we know they can be ethically sourced. Okay, so this is about the thickness that I want it to be. To smooth out the edges, I'm gonna use this glass panel that I took from a picture frame, and I'm just gonna roll it until it's smooth. Equal pressure all around, don't press too hard. Here is our cane. Now it's time to slice and dice. I'm gonna cut off the ends here. Ha 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 ha, here's what it looks like so far. Pretty good. Now I'm going to take my ruler just so that I can cut it into equal parts. I'm going to do 1/2 inch since that seems the best. And as you've noticed, it's pretty short for a Slowpoke tail, but we're going to roll it into a cone shape, so it will elongate later. Okay, I'm gonna take this ugly one to practice on first. We're gonna leave the good side, and I'm going to roll the back side carefully into a rounder cone-ish shape with light fingers. Don't want to mess it up by going too fast. Also, it's kind of cute when the tail is fat, I'm just focusing the pressure on the outside. Now here's 2 options of what you can do. One is to cut the end and then attach white clay and finish off the tail. Oops, that'll come off with acetone later. However, I am not going to do this method. what I'm going to do is towards the end, paint the tail. But here's what it looks like with the polymer clay end. And then to finish this off, what you can do is take an eye pin and bend the sides, cut off the excess, and then hook it in. And this shape is going to prevent the eye pin from falling out. So here is this finished one. I'm gonna set it aside to bake later. The method that I'm going to do for the rest of the pieces are, I'm going to first decide which side is going to be the front and the back. So starting from the pretty side, I'm going to use my needle tool and poke it into the center and just poke it through. Yeah, I didn't poke it all the way in the center. And then I'm going to just kind of wiggle it around just a little bit to make the hole a bit bigger. Then starting from the ugly side, following through the needle hole, I'm going to push it through. If you noticed, I don't have a hook because these pin heads have like this stopper here. If you want to hook it, you can, but I find it not necessary for these types of wires. And then I'm going to twist it around. And once in a while, I'm gonna roll it on the table just to help it along. But this is the money maker, so you don't want to mess with it as much as possible. It's an anus hole. Okay, I'm gonna press down on it just to close it up. And the reason why I'm a little bit careful is because I don't want air to be trapped in here. What happens with polymer clay when air is trapped is that it tries to leave and pops somewhere, leaving cracks or just bubbled surfaces depending on your clay. I think this is successfully closed. I'm going to pretty up the outside. Once it's in the cone shape that I am happy with, I'm going to curve it so it looks more like a tail. There we go. Now I'm gonna set this aside and work on the rest. Ooh. Here are all of the tails. It is now time to bake them in the oven. I'm gonna take this sheet of white paper and fold it in a zigzag accordion-like shape so that when the tails are baking in the oven, one side doesn't flatten up. Just gonna do this and hold it in place. Let me show you so that it's not flat on the bottom. All right. Now in the meanwhile, I found this so that I can use to hang the tails. Okay, now that everything is baked, I'm going to clean using acetone. You see this mark? Oh no, I made a boo-boo. Don't worry, acetone's got your ass. But no, seriously, just use the acetone to get off all the dirt, imperfections. It's time to dip the tails. Taking this small clear cup, I put some water in it. Here's my acrylic paint. I am running low, unfortunately, but I'm just gonna put a bunch in because I want it to be fluidy. I'm running low on acrylic paint. Stir it. Make sure it's nice and mixed. There's chunks in here, probably because the paint is old. Hopefully though, this is thick enough. Ah! Okay, the point of having it in the clear cup was that I can see where I'm dipping, but obviously that's not exactly happening. Hopefully this is actually thick enough. Yeah, it's thick enough. That's what she said. What I'm gonna do is take this plastic baggie and then cut it into a triangle. Okay, it looks like it's gonna work. Okay, and just so I kind of know up to where I want to dip the tail, I'm gonna slightly mark it with my blade. Ah! Ah! Alright, I wanted to hold it in my hand while I do it, but obviously that was not a good idea. So I'm just gonna hold the tape and then I'm going to dip it in. And there we have it, dipped. Okay, then I'm going to hook this. "10 minutes after I had them hung up, a few of them had too much paint and the drip was like really severe. Not all of them, but some of them. So I took a cotton pad and I like gently wiped the wet part underneath just to remove the excess. And then I left it alone and did some house chores while it dried. Now it has been about 1 hour, and as you can see, everything is looking really good. I'm very, very excited at how these are coming along. And here's the one where I manually attached it with the clay. The reason why I wanted to do paint instead of this was because I wanted the transition to be seamless. This definitely gives it a more handmade-ish feel, but the paint just makes it look a lot smoother. On another note, it is almost 9 p.m. and I have an early flight tomorrow morning to New York City. I won't be back for almost a week, so I won't be able to touch this until next week. Hopefully nothing gets knocked over. I mean, it should be fine, but yeah, BRB.
2 weeks later.
Okay, so that break took a lot longer than I expected, but I am back. Everything is fully dried. Because I used paint, I do have to coat it to protect the paint from scratching off. And there's 3 ways you can go about this. The first one I'm going to demonstrate is using Duraclear Ultra Matte. You're gonna use this and like a makeup sponge applicator. I ripped it into smaller pieces just so I don't waste too many. And using this plastic wrap. Oh fuck, I have to shake it before I use it. Imagine if I just posted this clip and this sound out of context. Okay, I'm just gonna pour a little bit, and then using my sponge, I'm gonna dab it on. Using this tail, I'm going to just pat it on like this. It'll give it a nice even coat layer. The Duramat, when it dries, it's gonna dry matted. So I'm gonna let it dry and then do another coat and then dry and do another coat. I like to do 3 coats total, but you know, that's up to you too. Ooh, someone outside is in trouble. And then I'm gonna just hang it to dry. It'll dry pretty quickly, like maybe in a few minutes. Set this aside. The second method I'm going to show you is using Verathane Polyurethane. It comes in like this big jar. Okay. It comes in this like big tin jar thing, and I like to just put them in containers to separate it because I don't want to keep opening it and, you know, contaminating it. But not gonna lie, I don't use it very often, so I've had this particular one for I think 3 years already. It's just been in storage, but I'm going to dip the whole thing in slowly and then pull it out slowly, because sometimes micro bubbles will form and I don't want that on my piece. I'm gonna shake off some of the excess. The excess will drip later on too, so what I do recommend is when you hang it, put a piece of paper underneath to catch the drip and not ruin your table. The last method that I want to show you guys is using UV resin. This is my favorite method just because I love how quick UV resin sets and that it gets really, really shiny when it cures. And on top of that, it's super like hard, rock hard. So you're gonna take a flat brush and dip it into the UV resin and then take your tail and just do a thin coat. The first coat is just to cover, because sometimes it's going to be a little bit splotchy on like the surface, the raw surface, I guess. I don't know why it pools like that, but sometimes it does. And then I'm going to do a second coat to actually like make it glossy. And then the third coat, we'll see if I need a third coat. But here is one coat done. This might be necessary, it might not be necessary, but I'm going to run my heat source through it just to pop micro bubbles in case there are any that I don't see. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take this chunk of scrap clay and then I'm going to hold it down like that in my lamp so it stands. This is the matte coating. I did 3 coats. Here is the Verathane Polyurethane. It is actually not dry yet completely. If you can see, it's still very like watery at the bottom. It's also why I don't like using polyurethane, just because it takes forever to fucking dry. And here is the UV resin. So if you kind of look at it like this, it's a gradient from matte, kind of glossy to super glossy. This would be the gauge range, I guess. Now I'm going to move on to finally completing this. I'm going to take pliers and cut off the hook. And then I'm going to use this called the bead looper. I forgot what it's called. Something looper. And I'm going to stick it in and it's going to create a loop for me. Although I do have to be careful that it doesn't impact the, I don't know how to say it. You get what I mean. If you don't, it's fine. And then I'm going to just finish it off with this. If you're curious about this, I got it at Michael's. It is pretty pricey, but I got it back when they had those 60% off coupons. They have different sizes, and I do want to get a smaller looper when Michael's has a good coupon. But not gonna lie, it is definitely worth it, and it has pretty much paid for itself by saving me a lot of finger pain. Here they are. Slowpoke tails, fresh meat, delicious. So would you like to take a bite? So anyways, that's all. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.